From the HSBC Arena in Buffalo, New York, it's games 3 and 4 of our men's quarterfinals here this evening. Welcome back, everybody. Canisius against Niagara, our third game, trying to reach the semis and join the top-seeded Gales and the fourth-seeded Marist Red Foxes, who will play in tomorrow's noontime semifinal. The winners of the Niagara Canisius and Siena Manhattan game will meet tomorrow in the semis at 2:30. Welcome back, everybody. Along with Jack Armstrong, this is Doug Sherman. Glad you could be with us tonight for this battle for Western New York bragging rights.
Well, Doug, I've coached in enough of these games, and needless to say, this is the holy war. This is what it's all about. Great competition and one of the best rivalries there is in college basketball in the East.
Okay, the Golden Griffins are the lower seed, so we begin with Darren Fenn. In spite of the fact that they're lower seeded, he creates a lot of problems.
When you talk about Darren Fenn, he's tremendous at carving out space inside, assortment of moves around the basket. He's a dominant force inside in terms of rebounding, can knock down the open shot on the perimeter, and definitely the main man, the go-to man for Mike McDonald's Golden Griff squad.
Meanwhile, the Purple Eagles boast the 2001 Conference Player of the Year in DeMond Stewart, coming off a foot injury, but I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Not one bit. This guy is just a warrior. When you talk about a player that can do so much for his team, he scores inside, can score in transition, tremendous defensive player, gets on the boards, really active offensive rebounder. And when you talk about a guy that's the heart and soul of the Purple Eagle Ball Club, it is definitely DeMond Stewart, a deserving choice as Player of the Year in the MAAC Conference.
Jack, our keys to the game brought to you by Citizens Communications. First for the Golden Griffins.
Well, definitely you got to keep Niagara out of transition, and the way you do that is take care of the basketball and take good shots. And secondly, control the backboards. Niagara, a tremendous offensive rebounding team. One shot and done on the defensive end.
And for the Purple Eagles.
Tempo, you want to make this a high-octane type of game. Niagara a little on demand tonight inside. Want to make this a quick game. And secondly, control Fenn. He's the dominant force inside for the Griffs.
Niagara and Canisius split their regular season meetings. The lights have just gone out for the introductions. We'll take a break and come back with the opening tip between Canisius and Niagara next on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. By HSBC, your world of financial services. Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Budget, get out of the ordinary with budget. And by the New York Lottery, New York Lotto. Will you be ready if it happens to you? Starting lineups brought to you by Citizens Communications, and for the Golden Griffins, Torrey Jefferson, Toby Foster, Darren Fenn, Clive Bentic, and Brian Dukes. And they'll be lining up against Michael Schmidt, Tremel Darden, Shea Cohen, Devon Stewart, and Darrell Green. Tremel Darden has been inserted into the starting lineup to replace James Reeves because of a rules violation, so Joe Mihalik has had to shuffle the deck just a little bit. Third-year head coach of the Purple Eagles with a 15-12 overall record against the 18-10 Canisius Golden Griffins, who had to play through and win a play-in game yesterday just to reach the quarterfinals. They made it, they won, and so here we have the matchup for Western New York bragging rights. Let's go to the third man on the broadcast, Dave Scott. Dave.
Doug, thank you. As you can see behind me, the crowd's getting fired up. This is what everyone was looking for when the seedings were announced last Sunday. They wanted to see this matchup. That's what they got. Great for the MAAC Conference. Great for Rich Enzer, and stroke of luck. Jack, you know all about this game. This goes beyond anything anyone can imagine. Back to you.
All too well, I know too much about it. And in the MAAC tournament itself, Canisius holds a 2-1 advantage against Niagara in the conference tournament, but that was against me. So Joe Mihalik's on the sideline for Niagara now, so the Niagara faithful are a lot happier about that now.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. Saw the officials. Good crew as always.
Gene Manji, Joe Mingle, Leroy Hendricks.
And we are underway. The Golden Griffins were 9-9 during the regular season during conference play. The 7th seed here in the tournament, won yesterday's play-in game over St. Peter's 84-72 for the right to play the Purple Eagles. Niagara, the higher seed, wearing their gray uniforms. And Torrey Jefferson knocks down a three.
Torrey Jefferson had 12 points, 8 rebounds yesterday against St. Peter's. 8 points, 8 rebounds in the 2 games against Niagara. These two teams split during the year, Doug.
Here's Tremel Darden, and he traveled Darden coming off a tremendous regular season finale against Siena, where he had 15 points and really asserted himself in the first half.
Actually, career high against Siena. So I really like his game. And, I think we should get out front the fact, obviously James Mook Reeves will not play tonight. A team violation. If the Purple Eagles win tonight, though, he will be eligible to play tomorrow night. So I give Joe Mahalik a lot of credit and his staff. It's always a tough decision when you make a decision to sit a young man down for a game to teach him a lesson. But it's one of those things, I've always believed that you don't give up an ounce of principle for a pound of popularity. And even though it puts his team at a disadvantage, more than anything else, you teach a young man a lesson and a good one.
So Shea Cohen in there on the post. There's the rebound by DeMond Stewart. And offensively, that really hinders Niagara. He brings 10 points and 7 rebounds a game. And in terms of a post presence, it leaves Niagara searching for answers.
You know what, though? It might be a problem for Canisius now because Niagara is so small, they can spread you out and out-quick you and really turn up the heat on the press.
Darren Fenn, the putback. It's 5-0 Canisius.
So that's going to be the component of the Purple Eagles attack that they need to do a good job of in terms of their defense. Checking out on a glass. Shea Cohen's going to have a big night. DeMond Stewart as well in terms of getting rebounds.
Rebound by Jefferson.
We talked about it in the open. One and done is crucial for the Griffs to get their transition game going.
Bentic fouled before the shot. Personal against Tremel Darden. And there is James Mook Reeves, the freshman center power forward from Edison Tech in Rochester.
And he's a fabulous player on the all-rookie team and cheering his teammates on. And he can't wait, if the Purple Eagles can pull it off tonight, to be ready to go tomorrow night against the winner of the Siena-Manhattan game.
This should be a great quarterfinal doubleheader evening here in Buffalo. Manhattan swept Siena during the regular season.
Nice crowd filing in. I know the folks on the eastern seaboard are worrying about a big snowstorm. The weather beautiful here in Buffalo.
Balmy Buffalo.
Balmy Buffalo. It's at least 35 degrees.
But no snow right now.
That's right. Buffalo gets a bad rap there, Doug.
Oh, yeah. Deserving.
I'm a New York guy who lives in Buffalo.
Just over 2 minutes gone. 5-0 Canisius. Brian Dukes on the baseline with the finger roll. Now he can take those finger rolls from as far as 10 feet away. That's about as close to the rim as I've ever seen him.
That's right. And you know what is really impressive so far? Canisius doing a solid job with this spacing in their offense. Niagara a step slow because they're so spread out in their coverages defensively.
Here's Michael Schmidt, the second most prolific three-point shooter in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference this year.
Canisius in a 2-3 zone that time, and a little bit of a miscommunication inside by Torrey Jefferson.
And more offensive boards for Niagara. That will be another key if the Griffs can keep Niagara off the offensive glass. Bentic answers right back.
Niagara's had 95 more offensive rebounds this season than their opponents. And DeMond Stewart, a big reason why.
Absolutely.
Good job that time containing on a penetration.
Well, a lot of people talk about the points that DeMond Stewart puts up at over 20 a game, and in his career, a 22-point average, but he grabs nearly 8 rebounds a game as a 6'3 guard. Foul on Michael Schmidt reaching in to help out against Toby Foster.
And look at this move by Brian Dukes on a baseline. Niagara slow. See Tremel Darden helping out on Clive Bennick. And then he runs at him, a little blow by that time by Dukes with the quick first step. Darden is so active defensively. He can cover 2 at one time. But good job by Dukes waiting for the reaction from Darden and then setting it to the deck.
Toby Foster, 6'6 sophomore at the line. And, the combination of Foster and Dukes were really thrown to the fire last year as freshmen getting lots of minutes, and you're seeing it pay off here.
You're right. And, it's an investment. Input equals output. And Mike McDonald took it on the chin. Only 10 wins last year. Now they're at 18. The second best turnaround in Canisius history. And you know what? Mike McDonald was part of the other turnaround as an assistant at John Beeline in 93-94. So he knows what it takes to get things turned around.
As you mentioned, they went 10-20 a year ago. This year, 18-10. And balance has been a part of it. All 5 Canisius starters have scored so far in the game. 11-2 Griffs.
Griffs have 6 players that average 9 or better. So they really share the ball. And that's a man right there, Michael Schmidt, who can knock down the open jumper. Second most three-pointers in a season in Niagara history. Don't leave him open. He'll make you pay.
You know what? In yesterday's play-in game against St. Peter's, all 5 Canisius starters reached double figures. And this man, Clive Bentic, led the way with 20.
Whereas last year was so much more reliant on Fenn. So Fenn had a great year, and he was first-team All-League, but what did it get them? This year, Darren Fenn's second team All-League, and he's a happy camper because he's got 18 wins and a chance at postseason.
Well, he's a Western New York native from Tonawanda, trying to go out with a bang here. Offensive rebound for Jefferson. Another Western New York native son staying home is Brian Dukes from Orchard Park.
Orchard Park, and you talk about that, all 5 starters have scored, and Torrey Jefferson does a great job. It was his 54th offensive rebound on the season. Schmidt's got to do a good job putting the body on him.
Bentic, who had the hot hand yesterday, still has it here tonight.
And you talk about three-point shooting, 40% on the season. Don't give him a lot of real estate to get a clean look. He'll make you pay.
Dukes is a 40% shooter from out there. Foster, #1 in the conference at 45%. So who do you choose to defend on the perimeter?
Tough decision, but I tell you what, you don't want to foul a jump shooter like Michael Schmidt. That time, Foster, a little slow in the reaction, a little confusion at time defensively on the part of Canisius in terms of their zone slides, and Foster a step slow. So therefore, he saw the open shooter Schmidt. I said before, don't leave him open. He did. Rushed out, out of control, fouled him.
3 free throws now for Schmidt. He's a transfer from Texas A&M. You see Mike McDonald. Schmidt's a junior with another year of eligibility at the Lewiston campus. Schmidt only 65% from the line. You'd think a guy with such a sweet stroke, you'd have a better free throw percentage.
You might want to consider taking him from behind the 3.
Although they changed that rule, you've got to be within that.
Nick Van Exel with the Denver Nuggets. He shoots it from like 18 feet.
But don't you have to be within that half circle? Like
Yep.
You can't be at the top of the key, and you can't take a running start and finger roll or anything. Darden the rebound. Darrell Green waits for somebody to cut down the lane. He finds Schmidt, and we've got a foul.
Gorgeous pass that time by Darrell Green. Solid job by Clive Bentic, preventing the penetration by Green, but a good cut off the ball, and Green is such a solid point guard, 3rd in the MAAC conference in assists at 5 a game. Look at good solid job by Bentic standing him up, but then a cut from the weak side. Duke's a bit slow getting there on the flash cut.
And the thing that I like the most about Darrell Green is his presence. He doesn't panic. He picked up his dribble, side of the paint. A lot of guys would have wondered what to do something in a hurry. He just waited for a cutter, stood his ground, and found somebody.
No question. He's a clever player, and I tell you what, too, he's got what they call basketball IQ. Understands how to run a ball club.
Michael Schmidt now with 7 points. Niagara back within 5. We've got a timeout on the MAAC Television Network. Canisius 14, Niagara 9. Good crowd here in the HSBC Arena for this battle for Western New York bragging rights, and HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC Family Section. Tickets and programs for the MAAC tournament provided by HSBC, your world of financial services.
We talk about the absence of Mook Reeves, and yet last week at Siena, Joe Mihalik's squad didn't have Damon Stewart. Schmidt, Green, and Darden combined for 56 points. So this team is well equipped to handle injuries, adversity. They just find a way to get it done.
And you know, Jack, they took turns. Green had 3 at halftime, finished with 18. Darden had his most productive time in the first half. He scored 18, 13 of those in the first half. So one or the other picked up the slack. So if Mook Reeves is missing today, it's somebody else's turn to pick up the slack.
Interesting strategy here by Niagara, and a turnover by Canisius. Confused that time. Niagara showing the 1-3-1 zone, and you could definitely see Canisius take a step back and become real hesitant in their attack. Be interesting to keep an eye on that development as the game goes along, how Canisius handles the 1-3-1 zone.
14-10 to go first half. Michael Schmidt barely nicked the iron.
Niagara takes a ton of three-point shots. They've taken 223 more threes than their opponents. That's a lot.
I would say they're guard-oriented. And there is their lead guard grabbing another rebound.
I think it would be a good idea with the kind of guards they have. They're terrific.
Green from deep. That's why they just keep hoisting them up there, Jack.
Because they have guys that can make them too. They make 56 more than their opponents as well. And Niagara, even though they're small, they're going at Canisius right now with the 1-3-1 and trapping. See how they're aggressive in the corners, sometimes showing a trap, sometimes just bluffing or retreating.
DeWitt Doss has come into the game, as has the man shooting it up, Andrew Bush. Niagara down 2 with the basketball. Quick move to the basket, Damon Stewart. Count the basket and 1. We're tied up at 14 apiece.
You know, I think we're at a point already in the game where an adjustment has to be made for Canisius. They did not look sharp at all against the 1-3-1. Even though Bush gets an open shot, it was a rush shot, out of sync, out of rhythm in their zone offense, and you could see already Niagara getting a lot of confidence. Joe Mahalik, you know when you play a team 2 weeks earlier and you lose on your home court, you got to pull something out of your back of your pocket and give this team an opportunity to change the dynamics of how they play. And they're doing it right now. Look at the extension of their 1-3-1 right now. Schmidt in the backcourt, just really being aggressive. I like it.
And Niagara now with its first lead of the game on a 10-0 run.
They've got Canisius playing on their heels, which is critical, and they're spreading their zone offense out.
Torrey Jefferson fouled on the pass. The personal goes against Tremel Darden. They see Tremel Darden, freshman from Las Vegas, Nevada, who kind of recruited Niagara. As the story goes, he sent out letters to 120 different Division I schools in the country because he wasn't being recruited. And I guess 10 or so replied and said, sure, send a tape. One of those people was Joe Mahalik. They got the tape, like what they saw, and here you go.
Recruiting's like being a good detective, like the Detective Columbo. You know, you got to follow up on every lead, and that's the kind of success you have when you do things like that.
And in this day and age, it's kind of hard to believe that somebody of his ability would slip through the cracks out west.
He is a big-time player.
15 on the shot clock.
Niagara changing up to the man-to-man now.
Toby Foster thought better of the shot because Michael Schmidt was right there in his face. There's a lefty finger roll for Brian Dukes.
Brian Dukes bailed his team out that time. Third straight possession in which they really didn't run any offense, and that's unusual for the Griffs, but Canisius a little bit off mark right now in terms of their execution.
Foul on Doss. Christos DeFutis has come into the game for Niagara. And Hodari Mallory will check in for Canisius, as will Rossi Karen. That's Rossi Karen, who's been a huge boost for Niagara in the backcourt with the injuries to Green and Stewart this year. He's filled in beautifully.
You know, you talk about the fact that where would Niagara be without Rossi Karen? And yes, Joe Mahalik, he says he saved our season.
Yeah.
I mean, he's won some games for them, and more importantly, he just filled valuable minutes and not hurt them at the point guard position. He's solid, makes good decisions, and makes the extra pass in the offense. And when you got stars like Stewart and Schmidt in your lineup, just make the extra pass. They'll take care of the rest.
Karen's another one. He got recruited from Texas and comes up to Niagara University.
Came here for the weather, of course.
Absolutely. 5'10", 155-pound sophomore from Port Arthur, Texas. He did start 3 games, but primarily off the bench. Luis Villafane has come into the game.
Villafane.
It just rolls off the
It
tongue.
does. It's really nice.
Now, you're a Yankees fan, right?
I sure am.
Darryl Green hits the 3. Bob Shepard, the public address announcer. His favorite name to say in all of his years? Shigetoshi Hasegawa. Doesn't that one just roll?
Oh, he's got a great voice.
Angels relief pitcher.
Number 15, Thurman Munson.
Nothing like it. 18-16, Niagara on top on the Green three-pointer, 11-20 to play in the first half.
Well, Griff's better get out and guard Darryl Green when he goes for popcorn, because he is launching from deep, and he's got the mojo working tonight.
Ready to go. 5 on the shot clock. Foster takes a look at the clock. It's a hot potato. Who's going to take the shot? Dukes misfired. Mallory on the glass. Tough putback, and he can't get it to fall. There's Toby Foster.
This was the concern for Niagara without Reeves. The offensive rebounding.
Bush again with a quick shot from the baseline. Follows his own miss. Joe Mahalik screaming for a foul on the rebound. You can see Joe in the top of your screen there. Shot clock at 18. Canisius still struggling in the half court.
Laboring.
Mallory from 22 feet. Here comes Darryl Green. Let's see if he can make it 2 in a row. Yes, he can.
Canisius needs a timeout. The tempo has completely swung in a favor of Niagara, and obviously Mike McDonald waiting for the TV timeout coming up. But sometimes that has a way of doing you in.
Just like that, Niagara has sprinted past Canisius to a 5-point lead, midpoint of the first half.
Canisius taking a lot of three-point shots. They haven't punched the ball inside lately. Got to be a little more deliberate. Shows how much I know.
Toby Foster says, take that, coach.
Shut up. What do you know?
5 for Foster, his first field goal. Back to a 2-point game.
You're 1-2 against Canisius in a MAAC tournament. That's why you sit next to Doug Sherman.
Oh, geez. Schmidt fouled on his shot by Jefferson, so Schmidt will go back to the free throw line for the 3rd time already. Well, you were the head coach back in '97 for the game that was in the semis here at HSBC Arena, which Canisius won, right?
Yes, they did.
Unfortunately.
Yes, they did.
Schmidt fouled there, and Michael Schmidt, who's been very active, 7 points so far, back to the line.
You know, and Michael Schmidt has been criticized this year in Western New York about the fact that he doesn't get to the foul line enough. And with that missed free throw, he's only been to the line 53 times. So he's more of a catch-and-shoot guy and, you know, moves without the basketball and uses screens to get opportunities. But he doesn't get it all the way to the basket a lot. And he's been criticized a lot. But, you know, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses in their game. And he's just more suited for the perimeter game.
But, you know, that had to be his M.O. coming from Texas A&M. He was a great three-point shooter at A&M, so what did you expect? I mean, obviously, you'd love to have him drive to the basket more, but essentially, he's a, like you said, catch-and-shoot guy.
Can't play make-believe. You got to play to your strengths and stay away from your weaknesses, and he does just that. He's a good perimeter player.
Rossi Karen with the dribble, guarded by Clive Bentic. 9:10 to go first half. Damon Stewart shields the defense with one arm and draws the foul.
You had it right there.
He commits the foul.
You had a call right there perfectly.
I thought that Leroy Hendricks was calling it the other way.
You know what? And give Leroy Hendricks credit. He had perfect position on a baseline.
And Damon called for leading with his left forearm. He picks up the personal. We've got a timeout. 21-19, Niagara on top as he picks up the foul on the MAAC Television Network. This week's Did You Know feature brought to you by Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. And for the first time in MAAC history, a team with a 500 record, speaking of Canisius, played in that play-in game. 10-team league, so you've got 8 teams in the quarterfinal round, but 2 of them have to go with the play-in. And you see the standings brought to you by I Love New York. And Canisius at 17-10, now 18-10, had to play a play-in game.
I made that point this afternoon. It just shows how good this league has been this year. When your 7-seeded teams got 18 wins, and you're on a play-in game. I mean, think about the fact that we've already had 4 lead changes, 1 tie. Niagara on a 17-5 run. Canisius leading in points in the paint 6-2, but the 1-3-1 has really created problems for Canisius because what it does is it gives you some open opportunities behind the three-point line. But guess what? You're not going to where your strength is against Niagara, and that's inside. It's inviting you to take jump shots. But you know what? It's keeping you away from what you're really good at. Something to think about.
See how it develops and how the Golden Griffins attack it.
Got to pound it inside and make him guard you around the basket. Can't be cute.
Let's send it over to Dave Scott. Dave.
Doug and Jack in the Canisius huddle that timeout. Mike McDonald was telling his team they had their spurt. We had our spurt. Now let's get another spurt. Let's keep an eye on what happens with Darren Fenn. Only 2 points, not many touches. Got to get the ball to him, I would think, Jack.
Good point. Exactly. And Darren Fenn has to be involved. I love Toby Foster shooting the jump shot, but guess what? Darren Fenn creates a lot more offensive opportunities by getting the ball inside.
DeFutis clears the rebound on the Fenn miss.
Good interior D that time by the Purple Eagles, standing strong. Niagara, you know, when they're right, they're making three-point shots. They're 4 of 7 so far tonight. I think that's a big difference as well. The Griffs have to do a better job defending out there. The first time these 2 teams played, Canisius got lit up on the perimeter, particularly by Damon Stewart, who had 36 points.
Well, Niagara won at Canisius back in December, 80-77. DeFutis fouled by Foster. Then the other game, just a couple of weeks ago, Niagara won at the Gallagher Center, 85-70. Rather, Canisius won that game, 85-70. When 5 different Griffs got into double figures. We have a timeout. Close ball game. Purple Eagles by 2 on the MAAC Television Network.
I know most of you just graduated high school last year, or maybe you've been working for a while. seen some things, done some things, but nothing has prepared you for what's going to happen now. We're going to set goals for each of you. Way up here, here, way up here, and then we're going to help you exceed them. Believe it. And when finished, you're going to have not just a degree, you'll be a different person, a better person. Welcome to Iona.
Aspire, achieve. Iona. Call Iona College at 1-800-231-IONA.
Niagara 21, Canisius 19. 7:54 to go here in the first half from Buffalo. And Disney's Wide World of Sports joining forces with the MAAC to create a great experience for MAAC athletes. As you see, all these championships being staged later this year and next year down at Disney. For ticket and travel package information, go to maacsports.com. It's MAACsports.com or anthonytravel.com. And check out a great complex down there. We've highlighted over the season many of the different championships over the last couple of years that have been at Disney, and they just do a bang-up job.
As well as the Doug Sherman Broadcasting School.
Let's go.
And speaking of a graduate of Doug Sherman's Broadcasting School.
Let's send it over to Dave Scott.
I haven't graduated yet, I know that. Coach, you're going to love this story. Darryl Green got taken to a reflexologist for some foot problems that he's had. The way they found the reflexologist, Coach Cafino of Niagara had kidney stones. She got rid of those. They figured she could work some magic on Darryl Green. Back to you.
Whatever works, right?
Foster, Dukes, Jefferson, Fenn, and Clive Bentic on the floor for the Golden Griffins in their road blue uniforms with a gold trim. Karen, Cohen, Darden, Stewart, and Green out there for the Purple Eagles in their gray uniforms with the purple trim. Dukes with the wraparound finger roll.
Oh, he's made some big plays with his penetration tonight. Brian Dukes, again, a little confusion in the Canisius offense that time in terms of what Niagara was trying to do with the D.
We're all knotted at 21.
Little guard handoffs here. This is where Termel Darden's at his best. Look at that move. I mean, quick as a cat, putting it to the deck right to left.
Felt something toward the baseline, went that way, and knocked it down. His first points of the game.
Toby Foster's a big player inside, too. He just shot it right over him.
Stewart, another rebound. Damon Stewart already has 6 rebounds. There he is picking up a loose ball. Kick it back out for Green. Shot clock at 21. There was no change of possession. 6:20 on the game clock here in the first half.
Stewart's always around the ball. Third in the MAAC in steals. I would say that's not a good idea if you're Canisius. I would make sure I double team that before I give him that clean look.
Bentic backs it out. Trying to establish Fenn on the post, but Shea Cohen banging with him.
And he does a solid job inside, Shea Cohen.
But a great job by Fenn to step back for that step of separation.
And that's the skill level we talk about. Fenn has developed greatly from a high post player. He's developed the low post game. Now he's got the mid-range to offset both. And, you know, that really makes it a difficult assignment for whoever checks him.
It's been back and forth, tight the whole way. A couple of long runs to begin the game, but by and large, both teams have settled in here close. Tied at 23 right now. Another offensive foul on Damon Stewart. Second offensive foul against Mr. Stewart, the player of the year.
Both calls are the correct ones that time by the officials. Damon Stewart trying to use the arm, and good job by Torrey Jefferson moving those feet east-west. We talk about lateral quicks. Watch Jefferson. He's in his stance, doesn't go for the fake, keeps the eye on the shirt, and where the body goes, he goes with it. A lot of guys get caught up into the action of the ball and where the guy handles it. Stay locked in on the numbers. Good things happen.
You know what? If Damon Stewart hadn't led with his forearm, if he just led with his shoulder, he might have been able to get away with it.
Good point. A little 1-3-1 again. And Canisius really spread out in this offense.
But Stewart stays out there on the backside of the zone, playing with the 2 fouls. Schmidt got his hand on the pass. It goes right to Bush. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Bent it for 3. Canisius back up by 3.
You know, Canisius is going to be successful. They got to move the ball inside against the zone, and then the quick kick out outside. Good job that time by the Griffs on the weak side block. A quick shot by Schmidt.
Both Bush and Fenn had their men sealed. Here's Fenn around Cohen, who gave him a little body block, but a traveling violation call.
You talk about turnovers. Canisius does a great job plus 76 assist to turnover ratio. Niagara, on the flip side, minus 44, the differential. So Canisius does a little bit better job in terms of taking care of it. And it's going to be a major component tonight because of the fact when you talk about the number of possessions in a game, it can come down to 1 or 2. Such a great rivalry. Both of these teams play so hard, it could come down to the final play.
Marist and Iona have already reached the MAAC semifinals to be played tomorrow at noon and 2:30. Michael Schmidt, the Purple Eagles, trying to join them.
Simple play, just a little catch and shoot play. Good screen by Shea Cohen and perfect screen usage by Schmidt, coming right off the shoulder, catch and fire, and perfect delivery as well by Green.
Tied again at 26. Schmidt, the first player to double figures. Joined by Clive Bentic. He now has 11.
I'll tell you what, the guards are putting on a show tonight. Green, Schmidt, Bentic, Dukes with the penetration. High level they're playing at tonight, Doug.
Now, I had the feeling coming into this nighttime session that both of these games and the following Siena Manhattan game going to be well played, tightly played, and right down to the last shot. Schmidt fouled by Dukes, and he will go back to the free throw line for the 4th time here in the game.
And that is the 17th foul, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
I'm looking up at the wrong scoreboard here.
They've got an auxiliary board right in front of us.
Shows how I coach in this building. Show much how.
Well, you were on the other side.
That's true. It's probably up there, too.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is behind us, too. That's all right. You had other things to think about. That's what your assistant coaches are for, right? Keeping track of timeouts and fouls, all that stuff.
Who to foul.
Exactly. You had other things to worry about. Michael Schmidt from not too far away, Toronto, Ontario. What does it take you to get up there on the QEW
from
every day?
Lewiston, about an hour and 10 minutes.
Hour and 10. Yep. So not too far away from home for Mr. Schmidt.
Not a lot of players from Toronto. Kevin Jobity played for me at Niagara, played for Joe as well. A fine player, 6'10".
That's a dozen for Michael Schmidt. Both teams shooting well from the perimeter. Clive Bentic keeping Canisius in it. He's already got 11. It's 29-28 Griffs on the MAAC Television Network. Canisius with a 1-point lead over Niagara late in the first half of our MAAC quarterfinal here in Buffalo. And fans, this is hockey country here. I know there are a lot of hockey fans watching.
By the way, Canisius and Niagara have great programs.
Absolutely, although only one in the MAAC. So we only want to talk about one of them.
Okay, Brian Cavanaugh, a fine head coach at Canisius.
There you go. The 2001 Easton MAAC Hockey League Championship at the University of Connecticut Ice Arena in just a couple of weeks. All session passes, $12 a pop. For information, call toll-free 1-877 at UConn. Let's send it over to Mr. Scott. Dave, what have you got?
Coach, I want you to look out for this on the 1-3-1. Coach McDonald is devising a way to get the ball towards the middle, top of the key. They really think they can break this now where it hurt them before. I think it's going to help them now. And something to look out for as Canisius brings the ball up in the future. Back to you, Jack and Doug.
Clive Bentic drops it back for Jefferson from 19. That's a two-pointer.
I think Dave might have been in their huddle devising that little play.
Blocking foul against Mallory.
And this really favors Niagara because they're a solid free throw shooting team, particularly on the perimeter. I mean, Dow Green, 77% from the line. So this is a guy you don't want to foul, and he's such a clutch player. And it gives Niagara as well the opportunity to set their defense. And, you know, when they're a little bit undermanned, gives them a chance to set up their pressure if they'd like, and it really gives you the chance to really be organized in what you want to do.
The two teams, Jack, combined from the three-point line so far, 10 for 21. 5 for 11 for Canisius, 5 for 10 for Niagara. Darryl Green continues to put up points. He's got 11. We've already got 3 players in double figures.
You know, it's interesting. Darryl Green's numbers in this series, unforced turnover, just threw it away. Poor job that time. Use the ball fake, look up ball side or in the middle. How about Darryl Green? Only average in the 2 games, 3 points and 5 assists. So he's way above his average in this series.
There he is, tracking down the loose ball, knocked out of bounds. Niagara ball still.
He's starting to feel a little better too. I had their game a few weeks ago, Canisius Niagara. I don't know if Darryl Green could have pursued the ball with that type of quickness. Tonight he got it.
Right.
He's got a little pep in his step tonight.
Right, and that average you talk about in the 2 games against Canisius has a big part to do with the fact that he was playing hobbled.
No question.
As compared to ineffectiveness against this matchup.
And I'll tell you what, as ineffective as he was offensively, he was just as ineffective defensively, because Brian Dukes would set it and take it right at him on the bounce. And Darrell Green didn't have the east-west ability defensively to contain him.
Meanwhile, last weekend, we saw him, and he still had the problem defensively. He couldn't do anything to stop anybody, but offensively, he had his field back.
No doubt.
But the defense is starting to come here today.
You're right. And you know, you look at a guy like that, comes out of DeMatha High School, the legendary Morgan Wooden. He knows what it takes to play in big games. And obviously, Joe Mahalik, a former assistant at DeMatha for the great Morgan Wooden. And I just love Darrell Green's demeanor on the floor. He's just one of those guys that you know that he's going to make good decisions in crunch time for you.
And look for him to have a huge senior season next year. As a sophomore, he averaged 17 a game. This year, down to 10 per game. And the shots haven't fallen like they did last year. And he's had the injury problem.
Oh, what a pass that time by Torrey Jefferson, and a breakdown on a backside defensively by Niagara. Joe Mahalik, a little bit demonstrative on the bench that time to his team about communication.
And that hoop by DeWitt Doss, another Western New York product from LaSalle. Niagara Falls kid. DeFutis from the corner. Hits for three.
This goes to Futis, a solid three-point shooter. 28%. Not bad for a big.
Jefferson goes to the reverse. A great spinning shot.
Nice pass as well by DeWitt Doss. Niagara springing the pressure a little bit. Canisius doing a good job with the response.
Villafane. Darrell Green pulls up. A little bit short. DeFutis, the offensive rebound, and a foul.
Poor job that time. Andy Bush, he was assigned to DeFutis. Never put a body on him, just stood there and watched. You know, and Bush is the biggest man on the floor right now for Canisius. They need a better effort on that play. Watch how DeFutis gets free, goes to help, but then doesn't get back to his guy, as well as Hampton not getting a body on Villafane. So both bigs at fault, Hampton and Bush.
Richard Hampton, 6'7" freshman from Cleveland, Ohio. Jefferson and Hampton go back out. DeFutis from Athens, Greece, as you see there.
All academic performer. Actually, my last recruit at Niagara, my last signee.
In his junior season, did he then redshirt for a year?
No, he came in and
this
played
is his
for Joe.
I
recruited him November of my last year.
Okay. And again, you recruited DeMond Stewart to come to Niagara, but he was a partial qualifier and wound up going to Division II Mercyhurst, but still wound up coming to Niagara.
2 years later, after the fact. And what a great career he had at Mercyhurst as well. He's been fabulous at both locations.
There's DeMond Stewart with
player.
2 offensive fouls, though, early in this game, having him take a breather late in the half not to pick up his third.
Joe Mahalik at the press conference the other day where DeMond was announced as the player of the year, said he's never coached a harder working guy in his career. I mean, you think about coaching Tim Legler, Lionel Simmons, Randy Woods, Doug Overton, 4 NBA players that Joe recruited and coached at LaSalle. That's very, very high praise.
37-36, Canisius back on top by 1. Joe Mahalik uses a timeout with 1:12 to go here in the first half.
Well, if you're Niagara right now, you got to feel great. I mean, you're talking about DeMond Stewart on the bench with 2 fouls. Darrell Green's playing well. You don't have Mook Reeves tonight. Not going to have him until tomorrow night if you can get by this game tonight. You just got to feel terrific about how your team's playing right now. Your defensive strategy has worked in terms of changing up your looks, and I think it's really kept Canisius off balance.
Absolutely. Tight throughout. 1-point Canisius lead. And you know, Jack, the winners of the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award, Carmen Massarello from Siena College and Becky O'Donohue of Niagara University. Massarello's a marketing major with a 3.58 GPA from Clifton Park, New York. O'Donohue, a communications major from Dobbs Ferry with a 3.65 GPA. The New York Lottery will provide new computers to their elementary schools. The award's based on GPA, community participation, and good sportsmanship. The New York Lottery supporting education since 1967, saluting Carmen Massarello and Becky O'Donoghue for their achievements.
You know, Niagara's been to the semifinals of the MAAC tournament 4 of the last 5 years, so they understand what it takes, Joe Mihalik's squad, to get to the next night, and it's so important, just as Jeff Ruland did today, survive and advance, and they're finding a way a little bit undermanned tonight to hang tough.
Problem in those 4 years where they've reached the semifinals, they've yet to get over that next hump and reach the finals. Niagara, like you say, able to win the first and maybe 2 to get if you're in a play-in year. But we've not seen the Purple Eagles in the finals. The O'Donoghue twins flanking one of their friends, but Becky O'Donoghue. Now, which is which? Do you know which one was Becky?
No, I don't.
With all your Niagara connections, you don't know one twin from the other?
I met them when they visited on their recruiting visit way back when, but I can't tell them apart.
Under a minute and a half, Michael Schmidt hits.
Clutch. Big shot.
He's already surpassed his average. He's got 15 points. He averages 14 and a half. And he's given the Purple Eagles the lead once again. Clive Bentic, guarded by Rossi Karen. Mallory cross-court pass. Doss, floater on the baseline, short. Villafane up to Karen. Shot clock turned off, so Niagara can hold. Karen works the point. Pass back to Green. Was not deflected, so it's an over and back violation. And Canisius can now get one last shot.
Oh, Joe Mihalik so frustrated that time. He could taste going into the locker room with a 2-point lead. Now they've got to get a stop on a final possession. Good time out here, Mike McDonald.
And he's bringing in his offensive weapons, Dukes, Fenn, to come in and play these final 17 and a half seconds.
Well, if you're Mike McDonald, I think at halftime, 2 things you got to talk about. First of all, perimeter defense without fouling, because now they're getting out and crowding Niagara. Niagara putting it to the deck and getting fouls and getting to the free throw line. So improvement in terms of coverage on the perimeter, and secondly, zone attack. I think that would be the 2 things. And Niagara, more than anything else, has done a solid job overall, with the exception of the rebounding early on.
33 of the 39 Niagara points have come either on 3-pointers or from the foul line. So it's one or the other, inside or out. There you see this year's list of Chase MAAC Players of the Week. Darren Fenn we're watching right now. Damon Stewart we're watching right now. Scott Knapp coming up later, as well as Darrell Brown. Knapp and Brown will go head-to-head as the Saints take on the Jaspers in the 4th of our 4 men's quarterfinals here at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo today. Along with Jack Armstrong and Dave Scott, this is Doug Sherman. So glad you could join us for this March Madness. We should have a travel. Nope, we got a foul.
He ran a little ball screen play and took it right at Green and challenged the lateral quicks. Dukes does such a nice job of little hesitation on a dribble and then putting it into the afterburners. You know, Niagara is 10-2 this season when they're up or tied at half. They're 5-10 when they're behind. Canisius on the flip side, 16-2 when they lead at halftime, and 2-8 when they trail. So I just wanted to throw those little things at you. Just a little food for thought.
Stands to reason, though, when you're
we could be tied.
Half. Well, there's that. If Dukes hits them both,
we could be tied. I don't have anything on that.
We'll be tied again. I'm sure somewhere in the media packet there's a stat for being tied at the half.
That's probably done. I didn't see it, though.
We'll have to dive back in if indeed we're tied at halftime.
Because the folks at home are just saying, well, where is it?
Got to know.
Oh,
we're not tied right now. Bush, though, fouled, and maybe he'll make 1 out of 2.
Oh, my goodness.
And if you're Joe Mihalik, again, about 2 minutes ago, you're thinking, we got the ball, 20 seconds on the clock. We're going into the locker room with at least a 2-point lead. And now Canisius getting a second chance at the free throw line.
Look at the size of the men he has inside trying to block out, and I think that's a big part of the difference. Bush only a 63% free throw shooter, and Bush has had some tremendous games against Niagara. He has averaged 14 points and 3 rebounds in the 2 games that he's played against Niagara. On a season, he averages 10 points. So Bush has had his way with the Purple Eagles.
He loves playing against Western New York opponents. 25 in a game against St. Bonaventure. Bush goes out. And Hampton comes back in. 6 seconds to go in the half. Darrell Green with the dribble. Down to 3. on the crossover to the paint. And they were unable to get the shot off. Good defense by the Griffs to close things off. Darryl Green gets up slowly. And we've had ourselves a tremendous first half. Tied at 39. Jack's going to have to dive back into the stat pack.
We got ourselves a good game, though.
We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.
Manhattan College, with 5 schools of arts, business, education, engineering, and science. Minutes from the cultural center and global marketplace that is New York City. Founded in the Lassallean tradition of excellence in teaching, respect for human dignity, and commitment for social justice. Manhattan College.
We're tied at 39. Canisius and Niagara battling to reach the MAAC semifinals, which will be played tomorrow afternoon here in Buffalo. Welcome back, everybody, to the HSBC Arena in Buffalo. Doug Sherman along with Jack Armstrong, and tight throughout. 2 teams playing different types of styles. Canisius really relying heavily on the perimeter game.
8 ties, so you talk about the fact that it's just been a tremendous first half, and Canisius 14 points in the paint, Niagara only 4, so Niagara really living and dying on the perimeter, penetration and free throw opportunities. Canisius still trying to figure out the changing defenses of Niagara. Niagara doing a good job throwing the press in there on occasion, the trap, keeping them bluff and retreat, keeping them guessing.
We're about midway through this MAAC tournament. Let's take a look at some of the scores of the games that have gone on already. And you see the play-in games. And then you see earlier today, Marist beating Riders 70-58 and Iona beating Loyola 64-52. So the Gales and the Red Foxes will play tomorrow at noon in one semifinal. And then this game, tied at the half, will play the winner of Manhattan and Siena coming up. That brought to you by Citizens Communications. And there you take a look at the brackets and you see, well, we've got 1 and 4 already there. You could have 2 and 3. But, as we said beforehand, with this league, anything can happen.
The wacky world of MAAC basketball, what you expect normally doesn't happen.
So far, the higher seeds have won, except for the one play-in game where Fairfield lost to Loyola yesterday. In terms of the TV, if you'd like to watch it, check your local listings and also take a look at this to see if you can get it in your area. Well, we'll get that when we come back. We'll take a break and have that TV schedule for you when we return. 39 apiece at the HSBC Arena. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the New York Lottery. New York Lotto, will you be ready if it happens to you? By Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Budget. Get out of the ordinary with budget. And by Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. At the HSBC Arena, halftime of our men's quarterfinal between Canisius and Niagara, all tied at 39. And here is the aforementioned and promised HSBC tournament television schedule. Check your local listings between Empire, MSG, and Metro. We've got all your action covered, and, of course, ESPN on Monday night. But we'll have you covered as you watch the rest of the 2001 tournament. All right, we send it over to Dave in the corner with a very special guest. Dave.
Thanks, Doug. We're here with the director of the Sports Administration Program at Canisius College, Professor Sean O'Rourke. Sean, thanks for joining us. And tell me a little bit about the program there. I know it's one of the real rising programs of its kind in all college athletics administration programs.
Yeah, it's great to be here with you, Dave. Yeah, we're one of the few programs that offer a graduate program in Western New York. And what's neat about our program is our students get a nice foundation in the MBA school. And so academically, the students from a theoretical standpoint are really excited about what we have to offer. But probably the best thing is our location, being at Canisius and being here in Buffalo. And this weekend's a great example. We have a tremendous practical training ground for our students. And so we can't beat that with all the intercollegiate sport teams and the professional teams here. Our students have a great opportunity here to get some work.
Absolutely. You realize that there's no substitute for hands-on experience. You have about 25 students here. You were telling me about a player on the Canisius team that actually helps out in the sports administration program.
Yeah, Brian Dute's here, so I'm a little partial right now. And saw he drained a couple of threes here, and he'll be continuing the second half. And nothing against Niagara. We have a few alum that work at Niagara right now. But, yeah, he's part of, as I said, about 20 students that help out. And we've got 20 of our graduate students here helping out the MAAC conference and MAAC properties. And they're getting, again, tremendous experience for them.
So you're going to take credit for those three-pointers?
I don't know about that, but I'll take credit for making the call.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit more, some of the people who have gone on from this program and where are they situated within the sporting world now?
Yeah, not only locally, we've got the Director of Marketing, Chris Voigt, with the Buffalo Bills, and our Group Sales Coordinator, Mike Chachowski, is here also with the Bills, but we've got people with Tampa Bay, out west with the Denver Nuggets. We've got a couple people working in their community relations programs, and we just, Disney's Sports just hired a community relations person from our program as well. So they're scattered all over, not just locally here.
That's great. Sean O'Rourke from the Canisius College Sports Administration Program. And now we're going to go back to Doug at the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We'll take a break and come back with more from the HSBC Arena. We've got first half highlights. We've got first half stats of a great ball game. You're watching the MAAC Television Network.
If you're looking to get more from your education than just a diploma, take a look at Canisius College. Rated one of the best in U.S. News & World Report, Canisius offers cutting-edge academic programs and a faculty that is second to none. But the best part of a Canisius education is what you'll take with you, the knowledge and skills you will need to be a leader in your profession and community. To find out more about Canisius College, call 1-800-843-1517 or visit us on the web at canisius.edu. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Canisius 39, Niagara 39, along with Jack Armstrong. This is Doug Sherman, and both teams shot very well in that first half, Jack. And as we take a look at our first half highlights, Darryl Green's been a big part of that.
Newgate kid, and Darryl Green's been fabulous tonight. First highlight, we got him shooting from deep, and I'm talking deep, three-point range, knocking it down. 11 points on the evening, 3 of 5 from behind the arc. And then Clive Bentic saying, anything you can do, I can do better. 11 points, 3 of 4 from behind the arc. And then Darren Fenn working a little step-back move on Shea Cohen on the baseline. He's got 4 points and 4 rebounds. A little quiet tonight. Beautiful execution on a catch-and-shoot play for Michael Schmidt. 15 points on the night. He's 3 of 5 from 3. We got ourselves a tremendous ball game. Both teams combined only 7 turnovers. Points in the paint, obviously, I think is a big stat. Canisius getting it done there. But Niagara getting to the free throw line and making the three-point shots has kept themselves alive in this game with tremendous perimeter play.
Statistics brought to you by Citizens Communications. We'll take a break. We're getting close to the start of the second half. When we come back, second half action between the Griffs and the Eagles on the MAAC Television Network. Moments away from the start of the second half between Canisius and Niagara, and we send it back over to Dave.
Thanks, Doug. Real quickly, we look at the statistics from the first half, and you see Torrey Jefferson for Canisius with 7 points and Michael Schmidt from Niagara with 15 points. I know Jack Armstrong did a great article for a great publication called Eastern Basketball on the impact of transfers from higher schools to the mid-major level. Jack, maybe you want to expound on that a little.
Yeah, I did an article. I read an article once a month for a magazine called Eastern Basketball. You ever hear of it?
I've heard of it.
You know who the publisher, the editor of the whole thing is?
Initials DS?
DS, David Scott. I knew him. He's a big shot.
I thought you meant Doug Sherman.
No.
Oh.
David Scott, he's a big shot. I work for the guy. He's my boss. Once a month, I try to imitate a journalist.
A couple of big shots.
Do a poor job with it at that.
Darden with the turnaround, and he gets the roll. Quick start to the second half for the Purple Eagles.
David makes a good point. The transfers, both of them doing a solid job for their teams, particularly Schmidt having a big night.
One transfer who, unfortunately, we won't see in the final of the quarterfinals, Justin Jaquette, transferred from William and Mary to Manhattan College and out with a knee injury.
He's had a great year for Manhattan. You know what he does, too, for that team? He makes all those hustle plays. He's such a tough competitor, reckless at times.
Great defender, picks up a lot of steals.
Look at that loose ball rebound that time. Torrey Jefferson going and getting it. This is 56th on the season on the offensive glass.
And 9 points here tonight for the junior out of Rochester's East High School. 41 apiece, 1 minute gone here in the second.
12 points, 8 rebounds yesterday against the St. Peter's Peacocks in the play-in game.
Schmidt goes to the right hand, but then shoots it lefty as he is. No on the putback. Shea Cohen tied up by Dukes. And a jump ball.
You know,
we take a look at the first half leaders. Bentic, the only one in double figures for the Griffs, while Schmidt had the hot hand from the outside and from the free throw line. And Daryl Green steady as she goes, while Damon Stewart waiting for him to go off offensively. But the 6 rebounds working both ends, offense and defense.
No doubt. We talked before about how Niagara does such a great job, plus 95 on the offensive glass. On the flip side, Canisius has given up 60 more offensive rebounds this season than they've gotten. So they need to do a better job of controlling the glass here. Niagara, very dangerous. Shea Cohen, particularly when he gets to the glass.
Daryl Green, Shea Cohen, Michael Schmidt, Damon Stewart, and Tremel Darden out there for the Purple Eagles. Clive Bentic, Ryan Dukes, Toby Foster, Darren Fenn, and Torrey Jefferson on the floor for the Golden Griffins.
Canisius just switching all the guard exchanges out front. So anytime little on little exchange, they just switch it. Shot clock running down, 1-on-1.
Stewart missed. Bentic the rebound. Tied at 41. Bentic's pass deflected into the corner and out of bounds.
Give the Griffs credit that time. Solid job with the perimeter D defending the dribble weave that Niagara ran that time. Niagara trying to set up the ball screen. If you remember a few years back, Maris used to use that offense almost exclusively.
That's right.
I got a good memory.
Bobby Joe Hatton.
That's right.
Who was the other one? It's escaping me.
Oh,
We're both
the third game of the night. I'm almost brain dead. I am brain dead. What am I saying?
Bo Larrigan.
Bo Larrigan.
That's
You're
what
right.
it was.
Those guys ran that offense.
Yep.
Time of dribble handoff, ball screen, dribble handoff, ball screen.
And you know, Kennedy was a freshman with those guys.
Exactly.
He was part of that as well.
Joe Mahalik grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same grammar school as Dave McGarity. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that. Yes, I remember last year them talking about that.
And he joked at the press conference the other day that, you know, when Dave was named Coach of the Year, that it was just a great accomplishment for Dave, considering it took him 3 years to get out of 7th grade.
Yes. I recall that joke from a year or two ago when
he likes using it.
When Coach Mahalik got into the league.
That's right.
Or I should say back into the league. Longtime assistant at LaSalle. Head coach at Niagara. Toby Foster's gone out. Richard Hampton back in.
Joe Mahalik going for career win number 50 in only his 3rd year. Talk about the great coaches at Niagara. Frank Layden and, of course, Taps Gallagher. He's got the building named after him, by the way.
Yes, he does. A refurbished building. What a great on-campus facility that is.
Folks on ESPN a few weeks back got to see the excitement on Midnight Madness there against Iona.
Michael Schmidt in and out.
Good job. I talk about Shea Cohen keeping it alive on the glass.
You know, I said earlier, and I said before, Diary Wilson of Iona is the shiftiest player in the league, but, you know, Damon Stewart might be a good number 2 right behind him.
No question.
In terms of getting into the paint and finding a way to get it off with balance.
And I think he's a little bit more of a tenacious competitor. Diary Wilson, a little more finesse in his game.
Bentic fouled and one. Stewart picks up his 3rd.
Big play right there. Now it's decision time for Joe Mahalik. Joe Mahalik walking to the end of the bench, taking a deep breath. 16:46 on the clock. What do you do? Do you stick with Damon Stewart? Or do you rest him for a few minutes in such a tight game? Clive Bentic, who's had just a tremendous year for the Griffs. Talk about the fact, 3rd team all league. He's gotten better every year here at Canisius. Strong take to the rack.
Couldn't complete the 3-point play. We're tied again at 43 apiece.
Did you expect this game to be anything different?
Absolutely not. Actually, you know, the game that you guys did on Empire a couple of weeks ago, I was shocked that was a 15-point game.
I sat there and I've coached in so many of these games, and they normally come down to the final minute, and I couldn't believe Canisius just went into Niagara and just took it to them. Not tonight.
Daryl Green, catch and shoot. Around the rim, off the glass and in. Daryl Green with 14.
Daryl Green cannot be left open. And it's pretty obvious he's got a hot hand tonight. You've got to make him put it to the floor and drive it. You cannot let him have opportunities to get a chance to see the basket and have time to set himself.
Torrey Jefferson passes in. Hampton. Darren Fenn, he's been quiet, but strong on the offensive glass.
The reason why he's quiet is Niagara's doing so much out front. That was a nice pass. Darden missed the gimme.
Cohen batted away the pass. Schmidt up ahead to Darrell Green. And he got it to go. Niagara with a 3-point lead.
Timeout here. Niagara's pressure starting to rattle them a little bit. And Darren Fenn not involved whatsoever. I was just going to make the point. You know why? Because they're doing so much out front defensively, it doesn't get to the final 10 feet of the court. And that's what you do. When you're small, you got to use your quickness to your advantage and negate and hide and camouflage what you don't have in the back.
Well, then to me, Fenn's such a good high post player. Bring him out higher.
Easier said than done.
Okay. Jefferson from the high post. Hampton had it knocked out of bounds by Cohen, but it'll be Niagara basketball. Darrell Green and the Purple Eagles have themselves a 3-point lead. We've got a timeout on the MAAC Television Network. Good crowd here at the HSBC Arena for this battle of Western New York MAAC schools. And we take a look at the MAAC Rookie of the Year, brought to you by Pepsi. It's John Reimold, freshman swingman, who was the 5th leading scorer in the conference this year at nearly 16 per. John Reimold is one of the young stars of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Rookie of the Year brought to you by Pepsi, and we'll have a chance to see him. Fans in Eastern New York can go to the Pepsi Arena next year for the 2002 MAAC basketball tournament.
You are all over it.
I'm going to be there. You going to be there?
I hope so. Please, God.
518-487-2000. Ticket information if you'd like to get great seats. There've got to be good seats available.
I would hope so.
This time of year?
Here's an interesting thing. You think about Canisius. They played yesterday, and Niagara just a step quicker tonight. And you know what? They've spent the whole week, let's face it, they've spent the whole week preparing to play Canisius. And Canisius had to worry about St. Peter's yesterday. Mike McDonald did a nice job not looking past it. And you can see tonight there is a definite, we're talking about the puncher, the counter puncher, beating somebody to the punch. Niagara doing the little things. That was a beautifully designed inbound play. Getting it right inside.
And another Canisius turnover. And you know what? After last night's game at the press conference for Mike McDonald, he was asked, have you guys been thinking about Niagara? And he said, no, we couldn't think about Niagara. In fact, I forbid my team to say the N-word, which is what he said. For them, Niagara was a forbidden topic until they had to get through, obviously, the playing game.
But you know what? In the back of his players' minds, they were building this one up. And Canisius showing a little bit of fatigue here. And Joe Mihalik's club, in spite of having Mook Reeves, look at the enthusiasm of Joe Mihalik.
Some hops.
No doubt.
He can still get up.
I tell you what, he's coaching himself a great game right now. He's got his team doing all the right things without Mook Reeves, and they're believing in what they're doing in that huddle right now.
Let's take a look at the Citizens Communications long-distance shooter update. The winner for the second time in his career at Siena College, Scott Knapp, barely held off Michael Schmidt, who had a strong finish to the year for the Purple Eagles. And then John Reimold, Rookie of the Year. Toby Foster led the league in percentage from outside the three-point line. And then B.J. Davis, who we saw in Loyola's game earlier this afternoon against Iona, had a great race. And Michael Schmidt was the champion of the Big 12 Conference a couple of years ago in their three-point shooting contest. And he's brought that marksmanship to Niagara. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Once again, the proud sponsor of the MAAC Long Distance Shooter of the Year Award. And we'll get a chance to see the 2001 champion, Scott Knapp, in, I'd say about 45 minutes. We'll have Siena versus Manhattan.
Hampton with the foul inside. And, you know, Niagara's done a good job away from home, even though this isn't the Gallagher Center. It's in Buffalo. But guess what? You know, Niagara's won 4 in a row away from home this year, down a stretch. 8-6 on the road, 6-2 in the MAAC, and they're only 500 in the Gallagher Center. So they're more comfortable playing on the neutral court or on the road. That's the best road mark that they've had at Niagara in MAAC play since 1993. And again, Niagara showing a little 2-2-1. It negates the power game of Canisius because they're reacting to all the different looks that Niagara's throwing them out front.
Darren Fenn on the bench. Hampton in there, Jefferson with the ball, and this is DeWitt Doss.
You know, when I've had small teams, I think the biggest thing we've always tried to do is you try to scramble people. You try to make sure they don't get locked into what they want to do around the basket. Niagara doing a beautiful job doing just that.
Darryl Green being harassed by Hampton. Didn't see him there, but is able to get away from him with the crossover. His pass deflected away, though.
He throws the bounce pass. It's 2 points.
Instead, Jefferson knocked away by Schmidt. Great hustle by Schmidt not to give up on the play. And a technical foul called on somebody for Canisius.
Torrey Jefferson for hanging on the rim.
For hanging on the rim.
Torrey, we'll see the call here. Joe Mingle with the call. Mike McDonald is furious. Here's the play right here. He's trying to protect himself. But you know what? Honestly, you don't have to hold on to the rim that long.
Yeah.
You get up there, quick grab, and get down.
Mike McDonald has...
I'd have to say that's a good call. In my opinion, he hung on the rim too long.
But if I'm Mike McDonald without the replay, I'm ticked off too.
And, you know, he might look at the replay and disagree with us. But
yeah.
Torrey Jefferson, great hustle on that play, by the way, by Schmidt. And, you know, he's concerned with getting undercut after he misses it. He gets the ball stripped. But there comes a point where it's one thing to grab and let go. It's another thing to grab and hold on. That time he grabbed and held on. I agree with the call.
So the technical foul on the breakaway. And this is all set up by the hustle of Michael Schmidt coming from behind, knocking it away clean, and again, watching in slow-mo, it seems like he's staying longer. So
no
again,
question.
in normal speed.
His teammate went by him. I mean, Bush went by him, and he still was on the rim. That is not a smart play. You know, but if you're Mike McDonald, you have to create this diversion right now and get your team upset and ticked off and get the crowd behind you. Obviously, the Canisius faithful that are here, because there's plenty of people in purple as well.
Now, when you're working the sidelines in this circumstance, does a coach think beforehand, if I see an opportunity to get fired up, you're going to take it? You're going to overreact, perhaps? Not to say that he did, but...
No question. His team is not as sharp as they were a few weeks ago against Niagara, at Niagara. And this is Canisius' second home court. So, a little concern now, Mike McDonald. He put his jacket down. I used to throw my jacket into the crowd, but they used to throw it back, though, because they didn't want anything that was part of the Salvation Army.
Throw you back a straight jacket.
Yeah, they used to throw me back something nicer than what I had.
Here's Tremel Darden from 18.
Look at Shea Cohen on the glass, so no one putting a body on him. Talk about Mook Reeves not in the lineup. Shea Cohen, the numbers aren't there tonight, but the effort is.
Dukes blocked by Darden.
Dukes challenging Darden, but Darden with the quick feet. Standing his ground, get a step ahead of him. Beautiful block.
Darden is long and lean.
No contest. Absolutely no contest. That time Bush guarding Green out front. Forget about it. He turned the corner, went right by him. Good recognition. Look at Darryl Green. He's got Andy Bush on him saying, you know what? Forget about it. Don't even try to guard me. Getting in the lane.
He didn't even need the crossover to get by, just straight to the hole. So now Green will shoot two, and Niagara trying to inch away.
They've made this a frantic game, and this is what they needed to do. We talked about that in the first half. You know, tempo is so important in this game, and when you're playing small ball, keep everything in the first 70 feet of the court from a defensive standpoint, even the first 80 feet. Don't let it get to the final 10 feet where Canisius can pound it down your throat in the power game. And on the flip side, get the transition opportunities. Open the floor up. Let your people beat people off the bounce. Get the quick shoot opportunities in transition as well.
19 for Green, doubling his season average.
You know, I wish I had turf toe and tendonitis in my feet.
Right. And not to mention, he's got a couple of fingers wrapped on his right hand. Clive Benton, right around Christos Defoudis.
We've got Vince Carter on the Raptors, right? You know, I do the games for them, and he's got jumper's knee. Last night he had like 38. I want a case of jumper's knee.
Tremel Darden.
Canisius needs a timeout. This is the pace that the Purple Eagles want. And here's Mike McDonald with the timeout now. He gets the made shot.
After getting the three to make it once again a 5-point game.
Well, not only that, he calls the quick 30, and there'll be a TV timeout coming up with the first stoppage below the 12-minute mark. So he's given his team two opportunities to reorganize here. you know, I mentioned it before, the old analogy of the puncher and the counterpuncher, and definitely tonight, Niagara has initiated every move in this game.
And you talked about in the first half that even though Canisius was hitting its three-point shots, at some point they've got to be able to work the ball inside.
No question.
And when the three-pointers get taken away, you're left with nothing if you're not going inside.
You know, why do you play zone defense? Ask yourself that, because you're small inside. You're hiding something. You're hiding the fact that you can't match up inside. Therefore, what you're doing is you're saying to people, okay, I'll give you some three-point shots. All right, you'll make some, but guess what? You're not playing to your strengths anymore. Yeah, you're a pretty good shooting team, but guess what? We're still doing what we want to do because we're hiding what we can't guard. And on the flip side, you miss. The missed shot's a long rebound. That's almost the first pass in our offense.
And because of that, both Fenn and Bush have been relatively quiet offensively, the two big low-post players for the Griffs. Fenn has 6 points. Bush has 1.
And they've averaged combined 29 in the 2 games they've played against the Purple Eagles. So talk about a difference, a huge one. Frustration right there on the part of Darren Fenn.
Fenn and Doss bottled up to Foudis. I think Doss is going to get the foul. Indeed, it is.
I apologize. What did you say? How many points did Bush and Fenn have?
Between the two of them, 7 right now.
7 points, and they combined for 29
right
on average. So big difference. My hearing went on that one.
Huh? 11:41 to go, second half. Timeout. Niagara has a 5-point lead over Canisius on the MAAC television network.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. This success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
55-50, Niagara leads Canisius here in the second half. 11:41 left to go, second half. And this being the 20th anniversary of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the team has been announced. 3 former Golden Griffins, Darrell Barley, Michael Meeks, and Craig Wise made it. Just 1 Purple Eagle, Brian Clifford from the early 90s. But keep in mind, both of these programs did not join the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference until the 89-90 season.
And I would say of the players I coached at Niagara, the 4 best that I had, Brian Clifford, Alvin Young, Chris Watson, and Rob Robinson. They were my 4 best.
Yep. And if we have another list in a few years, maybe DeMond Stewart or Darryl Green makes it. Well, to find out more about MAAC basketball, go online to the website on your screen, MAACsports.com. That's MAACsports.com. For all your current player and team information, it's MAACsports.com. Jamel Darden right over to us. Let's send it over to Dave.
Can't teach hands.
Dave.
Coach, great hands there, Coach, and you'll appreciate what Mike McDonald did out of that timeout. Faked him with a man-to-man, made it look like they were going to go full-court man, came back, faded into the 2-3, got a good defensive stand, and now wants his team to be patient. Doug?
Dave, what are you talking about? Great hands, Coach. That was my hand out there. Coach was ducking.
I had a glass of water in my hands.
I palmed it.
I was trying to protect this $2.27 tie I'm wearing.
11:05 to go, second half.
Doesn't look bad. I got it on a Kmart Blue Light Special. Come on.
That's not a 225. You spent at least 6 on it. Doss. Bush the rebound.
Bush got away with a little bit of a push-off inside as well on DeFutis. Once again, DeWitt Doss only shooting 38% on the field. Again, you want to get the ball inside Niagara. Once again, just luring them into shooting a jumper.
Weak side, Green tracks it down, but his right foot was on the sideline.
Niagara's not going to win this. Canisius not going to win this ball game.
All right, let's
shooting jumpers.
What's Coach Armstrong doing? My hand comes up.
There you go. There's my water. See, I told you. Thank you, Doug.
Keeping track of your soft drink.
Here's the water right here. Whoa!
I thought they were passing to me.
Cheers.
That is a soft drink.
It is a soft drink.
Okay.
Family show. Now, post-game, no comment. My wife's driving.
Up in the stands, met her earlier today. Former Niagara University Athletic Department member.
That's right. Women's soccer coach, women's basketball assistant as well. And married me. I don't know why, but good job here by Foster stepping in and taking a charge. Damon Stewart with his 4th foul. Joe Mahalik has not got anyone to the table yet.
Bentic and Dukes in the backcourt along with Foster. Fenn and Jefferson inside for the Griffs.
Timeout.
Mike McDonald called the timeout since Toby Foster was bottled up. 10:03 to go second half. Mike McDonald's club down 5. We've been stuck on 55-50 for a couple of minutes now. We were tied at 39 at halftime, and the second half hasn't had quite the flow of the first half. We take a look at the Chase MAAC Rookies of the Week for the year. Back in November, James Mook Reeves, who is sitting tonight for a violation of team rules, got things going. He was part of the rookie team. Greg Jenkins also on it. Rob Thompson, Dave Holmes. Tremel Darden didn't make the team, but I'm guessing sometime in the next 3 years, he's going to make somebody's all-star team.
He might be player of the year when it's all said and done. And Mook Reeves as well. I mean, those two youngsters, both tremendous recruits for Joe Mahalik. And Joe Mahalik just hoping his squad can hold on. So then Mook Reeves will be ready to go tomorrow night.
The winner of this game gets the winner of the upcoming Siena-Manhattan game in tomorrow afternoon semifinals. Clive Bentic fouled by Darden.
You know, and we should keep track here. I mean, this is a critical juncture here. Damon Stewart with 4 fouls, and Joe Mahalik rolling the dice and deciding to go with him. And you have to have a lot of trust in a guy to play a guy with 4 fouls with 10 minutes left. And I know it could be the last game of his career at Niagara. At the same time, you have to truly trust that he's going to not only stay away from the 5th foul, but more importantly, be able to play good enough defense to not play soft and be so concerned with it that he hurts his team. You don't want to be a liability out there either.
And offensively, you've still got to be assertive. We've seen him pick up 2 of those 4 fouls on the offensive end, so it plays on both ends.
Exactly. He's not, you know, he's not the guy who's hanging out shooting jimmies.
Right.
He's taking it to the rack. He's got the in-between game.
9:45 to go second half.
Canisius with a little matchup zone now.
Green runs the show here for Niagara.
A little 1-2-2 matchup.
He gets them into the right offensive set. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Schmidt kicks to Green. Quick release. Schmidt may have had his hand on the cylinder, and indeed he did. So basket interference.
I tell you what, that was a nice play, though, by Schmidt. That's exactly what you want to do against the zone. He drove it hard to the right baseline, drew Fenn on the help, then threw the diagonal skip to Green, and Green got a good look there. So good deployment from the offensive standpoint, getting the quality shot. Just didn't go.
Ball was deflected on the pass. It goes as a backcourt violation, but right in front of us, Niagara had deflected the ball.
Well, you know what? What you see and what G. Manji sees.
That's right. He gets paid more to be a ref than me.
I shouldn't say ain't. Isn't.
And I should say also that from my angle, it appeared that the ball was deflected. Mr. Manji wasn't far from us, so.
I was laughing with Gene before the game. I said, how many in Niagara Canisius games have you done? He says, too many.
Yeah. Well, he's an upstate New Yorker, right?
Rochester?
Yep.
Very good official. I didn't say that when I was coaching, but he is. Never objective when you're on the other side.
Dukes and Schmidt having some words.
Just a few pleasantries.
Well, this is not uncommon for Michael Schmidt. He always seems to get under the skin of his opponents.
He's having fun tonight. That's what I enjoy seeing from him. He's playing with a lot of confidence. He's made some big plays. What I like tonight, too, he's getting on the offensive glass. Really, you know, sometimes you find out a lot about guys when you go through a little bit of adversity. You know, the other day without Damon Stewart at Siena, Joe Mahalik found out something about his club tonight without Mook Reeves, finding out something again, and it's all good.
Leading scorer so far in the game for Canisius, Clive Bentic with 20. For Niagara, Darrell Green's got 19. Michael Schmidt has 17. 11 on the shot clock.
Great job on the perimeter defense. Look at the extension.
Dukes. A twisting shot, but a foul against Damon Stewart. If indeed it is, that's number 5. And the crowd from Canisius
Oh, my goodness.
Reacting to the fact that they know that's 5 on the 2001 MAAC Player of the Year.
What a tough play right there. Oh, my goodness. We'll take a look at it. Brian Dukes going off the bounce. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Tough one to foul out on. And the offense for Canisius completely out of sorts there. Good call. That was a good call.
Little body, little hip.
He pushed him with the arm. And now look at the size of this ball club. It is all right here on Darrell Green, Michael Schmidt, Tramel Darden. I mean, Shea Cohen, he'll do his job. Rossi Karen, he'll do his job. But Green, Darden, Schmidt, this is your moment here. Got to make all the big plays now.
And maybe we saw the last few minutes of DeMond Stewart's great 2-year career. If Niagara doesn't win, that's it for him with 8:19 to go in the second. Let's send it over to Dave.
Just as Coach said, Doug, the coaching staff had made Coach Mihalik aware with 10 minutes left that DeMond Stewart had the 4 fouls. Coach turned around and said, it's fine. Obviously, it's not fine now. We'll see what this team is made of. Back to you guys.
We talked about it before, but it's all gut.
Right. You roll the dice.
And you can sit here all you want and second guess, and I'm not, because I've been there. And you got that knot in your stomach, and you say, you know what? I got to go with my gut instinct. And you look in a kid's eyes, and that tells you, how you trust whether they're going to make the proper decisions and not let those competitive instincts sometimes get in the way, because you're more valuable on the floor than you are maybe for a point or two. Tough foul.
Well, I'm certainly not second guessing
Not one bit, nor am I.
I love it when coaches roll the dice on
and show
foul
confidence in a kid.
situations and say, stay out there and play.
And you know what? You got to look at your bench, too, and say, who am I going to?
Yeah. 8 minutes to go. It's a 1-point game. Niagara's been stuck on 55 for 4 minutes.
Canisius, once again, back in the zone. Got to contest shooters right here. This man in particular.
Darrell Green, the runner. Canisius down a point with the basketball. Clive Bentic, who leads all scores with 20 with the dribble.
By Hampton that time in traffic, coming up with it. Niagara's done such a good job of preventing Canisius from really getting into the flow of their continuity offense. Finally, Darren Fenn gets a touch, but it's 40 feet from the basket.
Jefferson, the quick release, short. And for now, Niagara holds on to the lead.
When you make a team run their offense so far from the basket, deny the entry pass, it takes you all out of sync in terms of your spacing, your passing, your timing. And Niagara's done that real well tonight with Canisius.
Schmidt off the up fake. Fouled. He'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Good move. Little isolation left side. Puts it to the deck and then hangs in the air long enough, leans in, draws it.
As we take another look, you see Schmidt.
Turns the corner. Good job getting by Jefferson. Watch him lean and just wait for some contact to develop. Heady play.
6th team foul against Canisius. Both clubs have committed 6 here in the second half. Schmidt to shoot 2.
And Schmidt's got another year at Niagara, and I guarantee you, by this time next year, he's going to make that move with even more comfort, because his shot has drawn so much respect that people will, next year, as they get to know his game even better in his second year in the MAAC, they will crowd him a little more. So his development of counters to that, being able to put it on the floor, create his own shot, whether it be one bounce and a medium-range jumper or going all the way to the basket, are going to have to become that much more of his repertoire.
Schmidt gets 1 out of 2. He's got 18 points, and we've got a timeout. The Purple Eagles have themselves a 2-point lead without the Player of the Year, DeMond Stewart, who was fouled out on the MAAC Television Network.
And this copyrighted broadcast of Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcasted with the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC Properties. Back to you, Doug.
What was that, 4 seconds? That's the fastest copyright read I've ever heard.
I read this nonsense every night for the Toronto Raptor games. I'm used to I read the disclaimer every night.
Is that the only thing they let you do?
If you do this, the NBA is going to be after you, the Raptors are going to be after you. The Canadian Mounties, the whole bit.
All right, let's send it over to Dave. He's been eavesdropping once again. Dave.
and impassioned Joe Mihalik, saying we're going to take it right here with this 1-2, 1-1 trap. The deflection they were looking for, they got right there. Now, next time on offense, look for Niagara to run it for Darden and get the open jumper. Back to you guys.
All right, we'll keep our eyes peeled on that, Dave.
I like it, though. Joe Mihalik showing no signs of fear without Mook Reeves and throwing it blank there.
Demond
Stewart.
Stewart's fouled out. The player of the year in the conference fouled out. Fenn after the offensive rebound. It'll be Canisius ball. Rossi Karen the last to touch.
Doug, I'm really at a loss for words there. I needed that glass of water.
You sure that's just
it's our third game.
A soft drink?
It sure is.
I see some bubbles in there.
No, there are no bubbles.
All right.
It's not like Don Ho singing Tiny Bubbles. Right?
Dukes calls a timeout. Couldn't find a teammate open to pass the ball to. So the Golden Griffins use a timeout with 6:23 left to go in the second half. It's been tight throughout. Niagara with a 2-point lead.
You know, Dave made the point about Joe Mihalik in the huddle. And again, you know, as much as anything else, you've got to be a motivator and you've got to keep your kids' chins up. And you lose Stewart and Mook Reeves, particularly Stewart now because he is out of the game with fouls. And how you approach the next few possessions from a defensive standpoint sets a tone. They come right out and they trap, and again, they don't let Canisius get the ball in deep.
This is the third of our 4 quarterfinals today. Let's take a look at some of the other scores brought to you by Citizens Communications from the 2001 HSBC MAAC basketball tournament. Loyola lost to Iona. Rider lost to Marist. So the Red Foxes and the Gales are into the semifinals tomorrow at noon. Canisius and Niagara fighting for one of the other spots. And then coming up at the conclusion of this one, we've got Siena versus Manhattan. It was scheduled to tip off right about now, so if you're tuning in to see Siena versus Manhattan, stay with us. We've got a little over 6 minutes left in this game. Then we'll have, what, about 20 minutes between games?
Yes.
And then the Saints and the Jaspers will tip it off.
See you folks in Malibu and Seattle. And
West Coast game, this is when your teams are starting to peak.
That's right. This is when it happens. Think of the babes in Malibu watching a game.
But wouldn't they get too distracted? If they're
particularly if they
that?
watch you, yeah.
Yeah. Foster goes out. Fenn goes to the line for Canisius. Andrew Bush has come back in for the Golden Griffins.
Prime time in San Francisco. Somebody in Phoenix is watching.
Assuming they've got a satellite dish.
Of course.
We're not on the
Direct
cable out
TV
there.
and a whole bit.
There's that.
You got to believe that there's some Niagara and Canisius alums, Siena,
No
Manhattan
doubt about
fans.
it. No doubt about it.
All over this fine country of ours.
No doubt about it.
Tuning in. Hey, what is this guy talking about?
No. And I bet you know somebody in every city to go have a little fun with.
I know a few of those people sitting in those taverns watching as well.
Right.
My buddies back in Brooklyn are watching right now.
Fenn hits a pair. He's got 8 from Tonawanda, suburb of Buffalo. Tied at 56. Niagara with the basketball. Here's Villafane. Darryl Green off the hesitation to the baseline. Kick it out, Schmidt. Michael Schmidt. DeFutis from 18. Short. Schmidt a big offensive rebound.
Has he played well tonight or what?
Back on top by 2, the Niagara Purple Eagles, thanks to Darryl Green, now with 21 points.
I made the point. Schmidt, Green, Darden have got to get it done. And on that play, Schmidt and Green, the offensive rebound, the setup, the shot.
Bush. He's had 3 shots tonight, all quick releases, and none of them have caught the top of the rim.
More importantly, that is the 17th foul now on Canisius as well. So we have a 1-on-1 scenario coming up. And I think this helps Joe Mihalik's ball club, the bonus situation, because if he has to, look at his bench right now. He's saying, you know what, I'm going with what I got on the floor. Maybe a Shea Cohen occasionally, a Rossi Karen occasionally, but pretty much what he's got out there he's going with. So the free throw situations give his kids a time to catch their blow, reorganize, and more importantly, on a made second free throw, you get your pressure game going, and you prevent Canisius from getting the ball in the paint.
Well, both teams over the limit, and Jack, it's kind of a wash. Both teams shoot 69% from the line. We'll see how it plays out. Clive Bentic, right to the basket.
Good play that time by Darryl Green. He knew he couldn't stop him, so instead of committing a silly foul that would have been a 3-point play, he let him go. Either foul him before he gets his arms up or let him go.
Darryl Green guarded by Bentic. Bentic had a huge game yesterday in the play-in game with 20. He's having it again here tonight with 22. DeFutis. Offensive foul. He and Andrew Bush came together. Bush went down, and DeFutis picks up the personal.
And DeFutis and Bush, neither what you would call smooth, artistic type players. That is a good call right there, though. Bush, you know what he did well? He moved his feet laterally and slid right in the direction of DeFutis' move to the baseline. And that's also understanding scouting report, knowing where Christos DeFutis is going to turn his shoulder. There we go, the other way.
Tit for tat. You turn it over, I'll give it back to you. Traveling violation against Andrew Bush.
You know, we had a high-scoring first half, 39-39. It's really settled down now.
Canisius swiped it away. Here's Bentic. And he gets it to go. The Griffs are on top, 60-59. Clive Bentic, the catalyst, with 24 points.
Senior.
From the city, A. Philip Randolph High School out of New York, New York. And a foul against Niagara. Luis Villafane.
Moving screen at times set on the ball screen, and I think we got ourselves, that's right, it'll be a shooting free throw here, 1-on-1. Villafane picked up that foul. Here we go. Actually, it's DeFutis setting the ball screen. There it is. Moving screen out top. Now DeWitt Doss at the line. Poor free throw shooter, only 8 of 18.
44%, but he looks good on the first.
He went to LaSalle High School, one of the tremendous programs here in Western New York, and now LaSalle has disbanded. They combined both schools, Niagara Falls High School and LaSalle. They are now Niagara Falls High School, and they are dominating right here in Western New York. Dan Bizzani, the fine head coach at Niagara Falls High School.
Duke's in, Doss out. Is that high school a Class A or a Class B?
Class A.
Class A with the combined.
They are a good program. Pat Monty was DeWitt Doss's high school coach at LaSalle. Now the coach at Niagara Catholic.
Canisius by 3. The last time they led was with 1:16 to go in the first half, 37-36. Nice pass. Shea Cohen fouled by Toby Foster, so Cohen will go to the foul line. He's a 68% shooter.
Nice job by Darden, showing the playmaking skills, getting in the lane, setting the table. And he has struggled this year in terms of that. He's only got 18 assists on the season. Look at that quick first step. No match. Toby Foster that time. He went right by him. Toby Foster is one of those classic tweeners. As he fouls out, hasn't had a big night. He's a tremendous shooter. When he's at the 4th spot, he's a tough matchup to play because he can step out, knock down a shot, create his own shot with one bounce. But from a defensive standpoint, not real quick when he's guarding at the 3 and a little bit small at the 4. So he still has to make that positional adjustment from a defensive standpoint, but he can break your pack offensively.
You see the Griffs on the run, and Foster finished strong at the end of the year from the three-point line.
Oh.
Got it up to 45% for the year. Tops in the MAAC in terms of field goal percentage, although had Earl Johnson qualified, he'd have won the
You know, and the thing I like
crown.
about Foster, too, he's almost got a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, so he has good
does
ball
some
handling
nice
skills.
things.
And 70% of his shots, though, come from behind the three-point arc. So he's a specialist. Pretty good one, though.
Yeah.
And the way Canisius runs their offense, they like their power forward to be a step-out guy, really spreads the floor out, so then they can get some opportunities one-on-one inside for Darren Fenn.
Cohen with his first point. Had a feature on him earlier tonight. Junior power forward from Jerusalem.
You know,
Joe Mihalik going everywhere to get the players into Niagara.
You know, they have 6 clocks in the locker room. I don't know if you've ever been in their locker room at Niagara. I swear. And they have the times from the places where the kids are from all over the world.
Are you pulling my leg? They really do.
I swear to you. You go to the Taps Gallagher Center and you go in the locker room. Niagara has
That's
6
fantastic.
clocks. A clock for each time zone where the kids are from. But all that matters is when it's game time. Niagara with the 1-3-1 again. They've had great success with this tonight, keeping the Griffs off balance.
Canisius with the lead in the basketball. Shot clock at 12. Bentic has had the hot hand. He's number 10 with the ball right now. He pulls up. Schmidt the rebound.
That time a little confusion in the Griff offense in terms of what to do, and Darren Fenn out 25 feet from the basket, and again at 1-3-1, giving the Griffs some headaches.
Darden lost his footing, stays up, still with the dribble, kicks it out to Cohen. Schmidt for three. Niagara back on top, 64-62.
Great ball movement by Niagara. The penetration on the baseline by Darden attracts 3 blue shirts. The quick swing out top. Schmidt gets a clean look. Great ball movement.
The southpaw stroke gives him 21. Schmidt,
look at this, 3 blue shirts
back on top.
Bang, the second pass out of the double is what breaks you back. Anytime you see 2 defenders converge, quick swing and then make the next pass, beat the rotation, you get a clean look every time.
No way they can recover that far that quickly.
Exactly, and you space them out perfectly. I'll tell you what, win or lose, Joe Mihalik has done everything possible tonight to put his team in a position to win. I mean, he has coached a fabulous game.
Keep in mind, Coach Mihalik having to coach around his starting power forward, James Reeves, being out due to a 1-game suspension, and now coaching around the loss of his best player, Damon Stewart, who fouled out about 5 minutes ago. Damon Stewart on the bench with 5 personals.
1-3-1 again. Canisius, I said it in the beginning of the game, this will be the telltale sign. Do they solve it?
Watch Fenn along the baseline. 3-pointer to give the Griffs the lead once again. Torrey Jefferson steps up and buries a huge 3-pointer.
Nice job by Dukes as well. They swung it to him and then he went right back against the grain, and the zone had already shifted. Perfect movement.
Darden. Here's Schmidt. Couldn't make it 2 in a row. Dukes the rebound for the Griffs. Back and forth we go.
That's
2.5 to go.
It's like gang rebounding that time. Clive Bennick and Dukes just making sure of it.
Once again, let's see how Canisius attacks things.
Niagara's man-to-man now. Both teams exhausted.
That's going to go against Shea Cohen for Niagara.
That time, Fenn trying to go baseline here. Ooh, that could have gone either way. There was a little bit of forearm there. You know what? I would say right there, that's a no call. Joe Mihalik saying no way. I would say it's no way. I'd just say it's no call.
Well, Joe was applauding initially. He thought the call was going the other way. And at the point where he realized Fenn was going to the line, he started screaming no way.
Because there was a little bit of forearm there.
Yep.
And on the same side, at the same point, from a defensive standpoint, Cohen wasn't exactly in position. So both guys were slightly guilty.
Like you say, maybe a no-call situation.
Exactly, play on.
No harm, no foul.
Exactly.
Fenn hits them both. He's got a 10-point night going. And the Golden Griffins are back up by 3. A timeout with 2:03 on the clock. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by HSBC, your world of financial services. The Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. And by Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. Canisius leads by 3 here in the MAAC quarterfinals. We send it over to Dave, who is just eavesdropping once again. Dave. Hello, Dave.
They're going to run this play for Schmidt, see what happens. Hopefully get him towards the top of the key, run a few screens off the ball, and then set him free up top. Jack, back to you.
Did you catch that, Jack?
It's like I spy here.
Jeez. Full court pressure by the Griffs. Niagara down by 3. The Purple Eagles shared the regular season title with Iona and Siena. Through the tiebreaker system, they get the number 2 seed. Canisius is the 7th seed in this MAAC tournament and had to win the play-in game yesterday afternoon to make this round. Pull-up jump shot. Darrell Green, no. Bentic and Dukes. Canisius has it. Here comes Fenn. It's a 3-on-none. The Golden Griffins lead by 5. Darren Fenn with a dozen. And Rossi Karen sets things up for the Purple Eagles. Ball trickled off the iron. Darden will go to the line for 2.
Great job by Canisius with that rebound. The last few rebounds, they've done such a good job. 2 to 3 blue shirts converging on the loose ball, making sure they get possession and then going the other way. We talk about foul trouble. Cohen with 4, DeFutis 4, Darden 3. Foster's fouled out, obviously, and Stewart. Dawson 4, Dukes with 3. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Jack. See who else fouls out with a $1:18 to go. Now free throws are huge. Tremel Darden 68% on the year.
And Niagara obviously is going to have to foul here. But what they want to do, there's still plenty of time left, so they have to keep that in their back pocket, probably one more possession, because if he makes his free throw, it's a one-possession game. We talk about your pressure defense, trying to get some traps. Now we have ourselves a 2-possession game, so must get a stop here.
Darden pressuring Bentic in the backcourt.
Not a guy you want to foul, 71%.
And a senior.
And the longer you go on in the possession, the less chance you have a foul, and you want to then play it out. 3-point line changes what you do dramatically.
Jefferson picked up his dribble, and
call.
Hampton's toe was on the half-court line. Good call. Over and back violation. And so the defensive pressure gets it back for Niagara. If he was a size 10 sneaker, it wouldn't have been an over and back.
Let's see.
Right there.
No, we got blocked out there by Michael Schmidt's right leg.
The size 11 went over. Size 10, he's in good shape. We play on.
The big dogs. Great game.
Right down to the wire. 48 seconds to go in regulation. Michael Schmidt pulls Niagara back within 2. Easy basket for Niagara.
It was. Breakdown at time. Communication. Niagara's in a great spot here. They don't have to foul. 10-second differential. Shot clock, game clock. So Canisius is going to have to do something from a positive standpoint offensively. Niagara will get another opportunity. And now it comes down to your D. One stop. Can you get it done?
Well, off of that defensive stop, the leak out, our Pepsi slam of the game. Darren Fenn, at that point, gave Canisius a 5-point lead. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi.
Niagara, look at Darrell Green coming down court. And it's just a simple breakdown here. They run Schmidt down the lane. They're going to go a little ball screen, and they didn't communicate the switch. And no rotation on the backside as well. Nobody picks him up, cutting down the gun of the defense.
Schmidt now with 23 points. Darrell Green has 21. Keep in mind, MAAC Player of the Year, Damon Stewart has fouled out. He's sitting on the bench. 45 seconds left in regulation. There is Damon Stewart.
Nobody on the ball.
Fouled out with only 5 points.
Full face dog defense here. Gotta watch the 10-second count here.
Fenn to Dukes with 2 seconds to get across. They just do.
Close.
But here comes the double team right at the midcourt stripe. And McDonald calls a timeout.
Brian Dukes had no intention of calling that timeout. He was trying to split the double right in front of us. He was boxed in, to say the least.
Well,
Heads up play by Mike McDonald.
That becomes a triple team. When you're double teamed right in that coffin corner, you have really nowhere to go.
Exactly.
Plus there's a third barrier.
Plus he's got you right near him.
Oh,
so, I mean, that's the ultimate defender.
Sure.
Well, we got a 10-second differential as we talked about. Plenty of time here. You know, on the full court situation, Niagara didn't have someone on the ball. I would suspect, again, they will try to get the 5 count here. Canisius with 1 timeout left.
No, that was the last one.
I didn't see the screen. It flashed by me so quickly.
I was blocking it.
Exactly.
I'm so big I eclipse it. Meanwhile, Niagara has 2 timeouts remaining, 1 full and 1:30, but Canisius has just used its last timeout. Well, if you like this MAAC basketball action, there is more to come here on the MAAC Tournament Network. I should say MAAC Television Network, but it feels like the MAAC Tournament Network. Men's quarterfinal between Manhattan and Siena coming up next, and then tomorrow we'll have the semifinals for the men at noon and 2:30, the women's championship at 7 p.m., and then the men's championship right here back at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo, live on ESPN, and see which team gets the automatic NCAA bid.
Once again, you have the situation here now. If you're Niagara, you're so small, any screen scenario, just switch it. Negate the purpose of the screen. Face dog, try to get the 5 count. And once again, really get up under them, apply pressure on the handle. This time, they go for the windmill effect. Tremel Darden with those long arms will be on the ball right in front of us here.
Richard Hampton
deflection.
Gets it into Dukes. Canisius with the basketball, leading by 2, trying to upset the second-seeded Purple Eagles here in the quarterfinals. Fenn sets a screen. Dukes still with it, 10 on the shot clock. Dukes fouled on his way to the basket, no hoop. Dukes will go to the line to shoot 2. No continuation.
More importantly, though, if you're Mike McDonald, at least you're pleased with the fact, A, you get the foul call, and B, Niagara in a double bonus. Good call. And we talked about the fact Darryl Green doesn't have the same foot speed as he had a year ago. The tendonitis, the turf toe, and the exposure right there. Great identification offensively of what you wanted to do. I mean, talk about choreographing the matchup you wanted if you're Mike McDonald. Darryl Green, and that's what happened a few weeks ago. Dukes really hurt him off the bounce. That time he turned the corner, got that slight bit of daylight. Green had to foul him.
And I think that was the proper call, too. I think the bump was literally the instant before it would have been any continuation.
And it would have been a basket anyway, so.
Dukes now with 10. He's among the best at the free throw line for the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference at 81%. Sophomore from Orchard Park.
Big one here, though. 2-possession game.
Short on it. Niagara will have a chance to tie. 15 seconds left in regulation. Darryl Green dribbles it up.
Decision time for Mike McDonald. Do you give the foul and prevent the three-point shot or let it go?
We're tied at 70. Darryl Green made that a moot point, Jack. He fired it up before anybody could foul him.
And I have made that point so many times this year. I have seen so many teams lose games because they make the decision to play it out and not foul, giving a team an opportunity at hitting the home run, and they do just that. Look at Darryl Green. He's made shots from this deep. He made a shot earlier in the first half from further than that. So now the decision you have to make is, do you stay off him and give him that, or do you foul him and make him earn it? Canisius decides to play him straight up. They get burned.
Last time out here in regulation by either side. We're tied at 70 with 6.9 to go. The one bright spot for Canisius here is that that shot was taken with so much time to go. The Griffs should be able to get another good look after this.
If you remember, Canisius lost the game to Siena this year when Scott Knapp, same situation, even less time, makes a 3 to tie the game, sends it into overtime, and they lose.
Well, again, you've got so many different angles that you take. If you say go ahead and foul and keep them from shooting the 3, does that lend yourself that you're not being confident in your own defense? You don't want to give that message to the players. That said, I like the play. I think it's a good play to go out and commit that foul to keep the 3-point from going up.
Here's why you think more and more this year of doing it, because from an offensive standpoint, you can only put 2 offensive rebounders on the line. In the past, you used to have 3 plus the shooter. So from an odds standpoint, on a missed free throw situation, the odds favor you of securing the defensive rebound. So that's why you think more and more of giving the foul. But in this scenario, you got to show confidence in your defense as well. There's no right or wrong call. I've done it every way, and every coach has done it every way. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you get burned.
Going by the gut. Okay, full court pressure by the Purple Eagles. Here's Clive Bentick on the inbound. Trying to go all the way, the senior from New York City for the win. It trickles off the tip in. Did they count it? Did they count it? Yes, they did, with 1/10 of a second to go.
This game is not over here.
1/10 of a second. Schmidt's shot doesn't get off, and the Golden Griffins upset the Purple Eagles. The number 2 seed here in the 2001 MAAC tournament is gone.
Don't forget, you got a game tomorrow. Don't kill the guy. And you know what? How many times have you seen it? You win on broken plays. Missed shot, what happens? Offensive rebound.
With 1/10 of a second on the clock.
One end, Canisius doesn't guard on the 3. Broken situation. Guy gets a clean look. He makes it. Bentic goes the other way. He misses the layup. No checkout because it's a completely frantic situation. The Griffs take advantage.
Here it is once again. As time ran down,
gorgeous crossover in Elena getting by Shea Cohen and tipping that in right there.
Clive Bentic on the putback.
Look at him. Look at the crossover here. Bang, going by Cohen. The missed shot. And then Bentic tipping in his own. Great second effort.
The roller coaster of emotions for the Canisius Golden Griffins.
Bang.
Right here. He's got a good shot. It trickles off. No, but he gets it to go home.
What a fabulous game.
Clive Bentic, 26 points, including the game winner. Our Pepsi player of the game standing by with Dave and the winning coach. Dave.
Unbelievable finish, Coach. Just the way you drew it up, you wanted to get it to Clive.
We wanted to get it to Clive, and he was smarter than me. He said, I'll miss it, and then I'll get the rebound and put it in, because that way there's less time for Niagara to score. And, you know, you got to give a lot of credit to the Purple Eagles and to Niagara and Joe Mihalik and their whole team. They have a ton of heart, and just to make a play like that and tie the game at the end, none of us wanted to go to overtime, and I'm glad Clive really stepped up.
Absolutely incredible game, but everyone's going to remember that last shot. Take me through it. You sprinted up court. What happened?
My mindset was go to the hole. But even when he hit the 3, I told Coach I'm going straight to the hole. And the next play I went to the hole. I should have made the first one. I don't know. I should have went glass, but I tried to lay it in a finger roll. I missed. So luckily, I got the rebound, and the ball went in.
A little early for one shining moment, but this could be yours for the heading to the NCAA tournament. What do you think about tomorrow?
I don't know. We just had to see. We play the winner of this game, and whoever comes out, we'll be ready to play, because we're ready to go hard, work hard, and get another W tomorrow.
Tell me what this game means for the city of Buffalo, really the electric atmosphere here. Did you ever expect that?
I didn't expect that, but to the city of Buffalo, they wanted us and Niagara to meet in the semifinals or the championship. But unfortunately, it happened to happen in the quarterfinal, and one of us had to lose. Thank God it wasn't us, and I just thank God it wasn't us.
Was it one of those situations you knew you were going to be in the zone when you came out today?
No, I was just ready to go. Over the last month, I haven't been shooting that well from the field like I was in the beginning, and I finally started to get it back. All I have to do is thank God.
Clive Bentic, the hero, congratulations. We're going to go back to Doug and Jack at the table.
Thank you, Dave. Clive Bentic with 20 points yesterday, 26 points today. I'm guessing he's already found a spot on the MAAC All-Tournament team.
Look at that.
In large part also because of the game-winning tip-in off his own miss. He's also our Pepsi player of the game. There it is with 1/10 of a second to play. Clive Bentic. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi.
Who knows? Maybe the Canisius Golden Griffins are a team of fate. The last team that played it, the 8th seed Fairfield, won it right here a few years back.
4 years ago. We'll take a break. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. We're back in Buffalo after a thriller. The third of our 4 quarterfinals. Canisius wins it 72-70 over the Niagara Purple Eagles, and so the Golden Griffins will get the winner of the game coming up in just a few minutes between Manhattan and Siena College. Welcome back, everybody, along with Jack Armstrong. This is Doug Sherman.
Out.
We need a post-game shower. And I mean, that was an unbelievable
finish. You see all
finish.
These gray hairs right here? I earned a lot of them.
There's the Canisius game in 96.
There's a lot of Canisius
games
game
in 94. No,
geez. A lot. I mean, the Canisius Niagara game, I gave a lot of them right here. That was a classic right there.
Clive Bentic, the key to the game, clearly 26 points, the senior from New York City, trying to make sure that his career doesn't come to a premature end. You know, now Canisius is 19-10 overall. They went 9-9 in conference play in spite of being the number 7 seed. This is not a huge surprise. You know, they were this close to being in the upper echelon of the league.
Let me tell you something. I had an opportunity to watch Canisius practice in late October, and after the practice, I had an opportunity to speak to the team. Mike asked me to speak to the team. And when I saw them practice, after I left that gym that night, I was convinced that they had a chance to have a great season because they have great chemistry, and you could see that Clive Bentic and Dukes had grown up. And I tell you what, tonight, the guard play, because Fenn and Bush were pretty quiet. Guard play got it done for them tonight.
We got to take another look at the game-winning shot. It was unbelievable. Clive Bentic, with about 6 seconds to go, got the ball and sprinted all the way to the basket. With 1.3 seconds to go, there's the shot that trickled off. And
you always lose on the offensive rebound. It always seems to happen that way.
3 blue shirts, and it was Bentic who tipped it home for the game winner.
And Doug, what a tremendous, obviously, We got Siena Manhattan coming up, but we got to take our hat off to Niagara. What a fabulous effort tonight from them. Undermanned, but never outworked.
Keep in mind, James Reeves was suspended for the game, their starting power forward, and then Damon Stewart fouled out early, the conference player of the year, so the Purple Eagles had to look for other options, and it went right down to the wire. How about the three-pointer by Darryl Green with just over 6 seconds to go to tie the game?
He and Michael Schmidt tonight were just big the entire night. And finally, we have our first major upset in the tournament in terms of these 7 knocking off a 2. And now tonight, the final game. What time is it? 9:35. We'll get started right around 10 o'clock, 7 o'clock Pacific Coast time.
But again, you know, how big of an upset was it? It's on Canisius' home floor. The Griffs had beaten Niagara earlier in the year at Niagara by 15 points. Just like in this game, Manhattan coming up has swept Siena this year, but Siena's the higher seed. So
go figure.
What upsets are
the wacky world of the MAAC.
This year, unbelievable. All right, we'll take a break and come back. We've got much more from the HSBC Arena in Buffalo. Game 4 of our 4 quarterfinals coming up in just a few minutes on the MAAC Television Network. What a finish to our 3rd quarterfinal. Canisius moves on to the semis on a buzzer beater by Clive Bentic. 72-70, the final score. The Golden Griffins knock off their Western New York counterparts from Niagara University. At this point, we send it back over to Dave, standing by with a very special guest. Dave?
Thanks, Doug. Woo! We're still sweating over here. We got Mark Lawrence from Citizens Communications. Mark, great game. Even better, the relationship you have with the MAAC conference. Tell me about Citizen Communications and what your relationship has been with the MAAC.
Okay. Well, Citizens Communications is tripling in size. By the end of 2001, Citizens Communications will be the community-based, full-service provider of telecommunications services for over 3 million customers. Citizens is the fastest-growing telecommunications corporation in America today. But it's not just our customer base that we're growing. We're actually rolling out the full array of technological products to our customers, including DSL service, which we're rolling out in targeted markets in 2001. With respect to the MAAC, I view Citizens and the MAAC as being parallel. The MAAC is a mid-major basketball conference. Citizens is a mid-sized telecommunications corporation. And just as we saw this recent game, mid-major doesn't mean you don't get anything other than first class. Citizens certainly provides first class and quality service to its customers.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it's important for Citizens to be involved in the development and the growth of youths. You sponsor the long-distance shootout winner that Scott Knapp is one, a guy from your area in Siena. How important is it to see the youngsters develop and see them grow from freshman to senior and be a part of that development?
Well, to win the award that Citizens sponsors, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication. I think it certainly is appropriate that Citizens was the sponsor of the long-distance shootout because we as a company show a commitment to dedication and hard work by our thousands of employees nationwide day after day after day.
Now we've done a little background. We understand you were quite a shooter yourself at Siena. You got a vested interest in this next game. Who's going to win it?
Well, my heart goes with Siena since I'm an alum, but the only thing I ever shot in my college career was bricks.
This is great. Mark Lawrence from Citizens Communications. We appreciate you taking the time with us, and we hope to continue the relationship that you have with the MAAC and Citizens Communications. Thanks for everything. We're going to come back right after this with Manhattan versus Siena in our nightcap, and if it's anything like the first one tonight, you better put your seatbelt on. We'll be back after this.
Founded in great coaching. Nowhere has that been more prevalent than in the MAAC, where top coaches and great basketball have always gone hand in hand. Two of the traditional powers in the conference, Siena and Iona, each are led by men who not only have enjoyed great success in coaching, both enjoyed storied careers as players as well. Siena head coach Louis Orr with Syracuse and the New York Knicks, and Iona's Jeff Ruland with Iona and the Washington Bullets.
I have some memories. We played against each other my junior year. We played Iona in the championship of our tournament at Syracuse, the Carrier Classic. It was a great game, and I remember Jeff and Roosevelt Bowie, center on Syracuse, had a real big-time battle, and we ended up winning the game, but it went down to the wire. It was a tough battle, and then when he was with the Bullets and I was with the Knicks, we played 6 times a year. So he's always a big physical guy that set real good screens.
Winning has been a way of life for both Louis Orr and Jeff Ruland, and their personal philosophies have served as a blueprint for the success of their teams.
I don't like to lose at anything, and we've I started here with Tim, obviously, and we've turned that around. And the staple of this program is defense, and we've led the conference in field goal percentage defense the last 6 years. And the reason we were able to beat a great Siena team last year is because we played great defense. The team that plays the best defense will leave Buffalo with a turning appearance.
I remember when I was a player. I remember the ups and the downs. I remember the relationships I had with my coaches. I remember the things I liked, I didn't like. I remember the stresses and strains of being a player, and also I remember that players win games. It's their game, and I respect that.
Seeded first and third, respectively, entering the 2001 MAAC championship, Iona and Siena are again two of the favorites to represent the MAAC in this year's NCAA tournament. Today, that journey begins, and Rulin and Orr stand ready for the challenge.
I'm looking forward to it. Tournaments, you just want to try to be playing as well as you can going in. You got to play it one game at a time. Every team and every game is tough. In any league, you got to have talent and good people to win, people of character. And we have a team of character. They've done everything we asked them to do, and I appreciate that.
We've been more consistent this year, but obviously we shot ourselves in the foot the last 2 games at home. We had that perfect record up until then. So, like I said, when we're good, we're good. But when we're bad, we're bad. So it's kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. We don't know if the good gals or the bad gals are going to show up, unfortunately.
Well, the good Gales came out this afternoon. They're already in the semis. Lewis Orr's Siena Saints trying to join them in the Final Four. When we come back, we'll have that game against Manhattan on the MAAC television network. At the HSBC Arena in Buffalo, New York, it's the 4th of our 4 men's quarterfinals at the 2001 HSBC MAAC tournament. The Manhattan College Jaspers against the Siena College Saints. There you see the 3 survivors so far. Top seed Iona beat Loyola earlier today. Then Marist over Rider in the 4-5 game. And then just a few minutes ago, right here in Buffalo, the hometown Canisius Golden Griffins win on a Clive Bentic tip-in with 1/10 of a second to go to knock the second-seeded Purple Eagles from Niagara out of the tournament. What do we have in store now, Jack? Manhattan against Siena, who knows?
Who knows, and I hope it's just as good a game as the last one, because the last one was a classic. Manhattan has swept this series this season, so needless to say, there's a revenge factor in mind for Siena, and more importantly, Justin Jaquette not playing tonight for Manhattan, so they're down in numbers.
Brian Scalzo catching me on the way by. Hey, let's check out Darrell Brown, who's one of the best all-around players in the conference for Manhattan.
When you talk about Darrell Brown, you're talking about an explosive player inside, gets great position, carves out the sweet spot inside, can take it to the basket off the bounce as well. And definitely a guy that's given up some of his offense this year in an unselfish fashion to get his teammates more involved. But when the chips are down, Bobby Gonzalez will be calling his number.
Meanwhile, Siena's got a senior co-captain who is now a 2-time Citizens Communications Long-Distance Shooter of the Year award winner in Scott Knapp.
When you talk about a prolific downtown shooter, Scott Knapp is it. He can create his shot off the bounce in transition. You better know where number 12 is, because he'll break your heart, as well as the fact he's capable of making plays for teammates on the run. Definitely one of the top three-point shooters, not only in the MAAC, but in the country, Scott Knapp.
Okay, Jack, our keys to the game brought to you by Citizens Communications. First, what do the Jaspers need to do?
Well, Manhattan needs to really do a good job defending on the perimeter. Siena, an explosive shot-taking team from three-point range, and they have to assert their will in the post. They've dominated inside their first 2 meetings. They have to do it again.
Meanwhile, for the Saints, what do they need to do?
Well, they need to be tougher inside, control Darrell Brown inside around the basket, and ball movement. They've settled for some average to good shots the last 2 times they've played. They got to make the extra one tonight and get the great one.
Quarterfinal number 4 coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll have your starting lineups in the opening tap between Manhattan and Siena coming up next on the MAAC television network.